So welcome everybody. My name is Derry Stevens and I'm here with our fabulous intern, Namit, and we're gonna be hosting this webinar today. And I always stumble on the title, mind you, I wrote it, but STEM-errific Ways to Avoid the Summer Learning Loss. And to get your CE certificate at the end of this webinar, if you've logged in with your email address, you'll automatically get a link to the form and the recording and how to get the added resources. And all you need to do is take the quiz if you dialed in by phone or if you're watching as a group, or you can still get a CE certificate if you're watching this archived down the road. Feel free to also join our community. So you'll see at the bottom of this slide, edweb.net/code. That's where you can find all the webinars we've done over the past year plus. And again, you can still get credit for watching those archived webinars. So consider it your beach reading or your beach viewing this summer. Westport, Massachusetts. I'm going there in a couple weeks. Donna, see you there. Oops. I just ended the slideshow by mistake, so hold on. EdWeb's putting it back up. Thank you. So again, you can join this community, and that's where you'll find our recordings at any time. You can see the slides that we've presented in the past. You can look at the chat. You can take the quizzes for the CE certificates, and there's just a lot of online resources that are all for free that you guys can peruse through. So a little bit about ourselves. As I said, my name is Derry. I was an elementary educator for over 10 years. I taught in Compton, California, New York City, where I saw a lot of you are from, PS 191. And then I taught out in Los Angeles as well. And then since teaching, I've worked a lot in educational media. So I did research at Dora the Explorer. I did a lot of production development work. And most recently, I headed up the education content team at Common Sense. So all the digital citizenship lessons and videos and professional training materials and EdTech ratings and reviews, I worked with that wonderful team over there. And about a year and a half ago, I came to Wonder Workshop, and I'm now helping with the marketing efforts for education, as well as now the parent community.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Namit Jindal. I'm a sophomore at the Kelley School of Business, and I'm majoring in Information Systems and Corporate Innovation. Any of you Hoosiers out there, feel free to shout out. I had an incline towards technology and love for management at a very early age, and that landed me here at Wonder Workshop. We are a robotics company making cutting-edge advancements in introducing children to programming. And I'd love to host this webinar, and I'm looking forward towards it.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you as a co-host today. So as we mentioned, this is STEM-errific Ways to Avoid the Summer Learning Loss. And feel free to recommend resources as we go through these slides to one another, because there is a lot out there. We introduced ourselves. So
why don't you all go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? What's your name? Where are you guys from? Are you a parent? If so, what age are your kids? Are you an educator? What is your role?
Yeah, we just love getting a kind of context about you guys, both as an educator and then as a parent, if you have kids, and kindergarten teacher, 32 years, congratulations. Woo. 38, Jolynn. It's amazing seeing the diversity of roles that educators come with to EdWeb. 41 years. A lot of veterans, some newbies in the 20 years. Wow. We have some parents and some grandparents. Really cool to see all of this. We also thought we'd take a poll, and this is my first time doing a poll on EdWeb. But we wanted to see primarily, are you participating in today's webinar as an educator or more through the lens as a parent when we talk about summer learning loss? So we're making you choose one, which I know can be hard, especially if both names apply, both labels. But I'm just curious, like how many parents are finding out about EdWeb? Because I know a lot of my parents, when I taught, were finding kind of the high quality educator resources. And obviously EdWeb is one of those where there are 3 Cody Awards. A couple more seconds. We have a lot of veteran educators. I love it. You guys will have a lot of advice to share with the community, I'm sure. So it looks like we have primarily educators looking at this, and I'm sure a lot of you are looking both for summer camp ideas if you're working in summer programs, or even those that you can take back to your classrooms next year. So I wanted to just show a couple quotes here. These are ones I just pulled. The Henry James one is one of my favorites. To me, summer, I think because I taught for so long, but even as a child, summers were so magical. It was that time off. It was that time to explore. You kind of lifted those daily responsibilities. I love the one from Sam Keen too. Deep summer is when laziness finds respectability. You know, there's nothing wrong with kind of summer and summer plans.
We'd like to know a little more about your summer goals. So what are your summer goals as educators or as parents? What are you looking forward to this summer?
Give the obligatory wait time. See if it's rest and relaxation. There you go. Hands-on body training, that's a great one. That takes a lot of time. A lot of rest. A lot of busy plans too, courses and moving and job training.
Now that you guys know about your summer goals, what do you think your kids' summer goals are? Are they as motivated as you guys? Are they looking forward to something as well?
Fun, play.
Play is a good one.
Yeah. I like that. Play full-time. Can be a full-time job if it's done well and done right. Sleep's important.
Fortnite, I love that one.
You were just talking about that. Fun 101. That's what we should do a webinar around. So what I thought we could do is, I just want to give a little context on school summer vacation to start with. You know, a lot of people think that summer vacation is rooted in kind of a agrarian like calendar, like it had to do with farm life. And quite honestly, that's not what it was. Back in the 1800s, schools had varying vacations. Rurals were very different than urban school vacations. Rural tended to have longer breaks during the spring and fall, which makes some sense if you think of the planting and harvest seasons. Urban schools had longer summer breaks. That's when a lot of families would escape the city to escape the heat. So it was really, it was in 1842, actually, that New York City schools had more of the philosophy of come whenever you could come to school. So school years then were 248 days, which are quite a bit longer than our typical school year in public schools now, which is about 180 school days. But it was around the 19th century when schools started standardizing the approach in terms of vacation. There was more bureaucracy brought in, but they also had advances around transportation, things like air conditioning. And they also tried to start to align vacations with college schedules, which had been in place a lot longer. And so that's when summer vacation really started to take hold in terms of kind of a universal break. And it was for that kids could get a break and teachers could have time for training. There was even kind of a philosophy out there that back in the day that the brain was a muscle and you didn't want to overstrain your brain. So not that we believe in that nowadays, but there's still a lot of proponents around, not overscheduling kids and giving them kind of a break. And you can see I pulled some stats. In the US, our summer vacations are 2 to 3 months, so average is about 2.5 months. Other countries have 3 months off for their summer vacation. And then folks in Britain and those of you down under have less, like 6 to 8 weeks. So it really does vary in terms of summer vacation.
Now, a very important concept is summer learning loss. How many of you know about summer learning loss, and what do you guys call summer learning loss?
There's some clever names out there. Curious to see how you guys have heard. Summer learning loss is like the research way to talk about it. Summer slide, yep. That's one of them. There's 2 others that come top of mind for me. Oh, summer slip. I haven't heard that one. Summer bump. Just plain old regression. Yeah, I've also heard of summer slump. And also brain drain is a one that we used in my last school a lot. This idea of summer learning loss. So I thought I'd share some stats, and there's some research that we can share as well, some links. But really the interest around summer learning loss has been there since about 1906. But a lot of formalized research started in the 1970s. And on average, kids can lose up to 1 month of academic kind of performance. And those numbers, when they break it down by subject, are a lot higher in math, and then followed by reading. The extent of loss actually grows as kids get higher in the grades, probably because they're taking in more content as they get older. Interestingly enough, well, not surprisingly in many ways, there are also higher gaps in reading when you look at variation in income. So it's not really race or gender biased, they found in the research. It really comes down to income. And there's an interesting theory called the Fawcett theory, where resources lessen over the summer for a lot of kids that are in lower SES families. And while the higher SES families tend to have more access to more resources, so that kind of accounts for the differentiation in the summer learning loss when it comes to levels of income. So one of the things we want to talk about were what are the kinds of programs and what are those resources that can help combat the summer learning loss? Because instead of thinking of summer as wasted time, or even then thinking that you have to reteach come the fall, which takes away from the valuable instructional time, what could be happening during the summer with both families at home, or as well as in like your summer camps that you're doing, or programs, neighborhood programs, community-based programs. So that's what we wanted to kind of look at today.
So play. As you guys said in chat, play is one of the most important parts of your children's summer vacations. And that's a good thing. Who doesn't love playing? But play doesn't necessarily have to be not learning. In fact, people learn a lot from play. Play is the highest form of research, as said by Albert Einstein.
And this is just a great graphic. There's a lot of different research out there about play. I didn't actually pull any links. We just shared some about summer learning loss in the chat. I didn't pull any about plays because honestly, if you just Google research around types of play, a lot comes up from a lot of really valid organizations out there. But what it does underscore is if you look at these, you might find ones that, were more meaningful to you as a child. So like I was big into the fantasy play, a lot of make-believe. I think I forced my siblings into it more than they were probably choosing different types of play. Preschools do this well. You all probably remember the book, All I Ever Need to Learn, I Learned in Kindergarten. And it kind of gets at these fundamental learning goals. And there's ways to make activities super meaningful and really have concrete goals and objectives that are tied not only to academic, but social emotional learning, physical development. So when we talk about gross motor, fine motor, and then some of the goals we're going to be looking at for 21st century learning as well. I'm going to pause for a second. If you look at this graphic, would love to hear from you guys. which kind of play is most meaningful to you personally? Like something that you gravitated towards as a child, or something that you really try to instill in your kids today? Were you somebody that was hanging from trees, swinging upside down? Was it more about the I can never say that word, investigatory? Was it more social based? Yep, a lot of pretend. Rough and tumble. Yeah, a lot of role playing, and that plays a factor in a lot of instruction today too. So some of this might be a little bit of, might sound familiar to you guys. Bloom's taxonomy, and Edweb will link to a great video that we did at Common Sense. I still leverage a lot of their resources. But a lot of you probably learned about Bloom's taxonomy in your, teacher training courses or your graduate work. And on the left side of the screen was Bloom's original hierarchy that he did around how do you get at those higher order thinking skills. So how do we move just beyond straight kind of memorization and rote knowledge when it comes to facts and details? And how do we start getting into application analysis? And then the pinnacle of his taxonomy was all around like pulling your thoughts together and evaluating them and being able to give your own opinion. So open-ended questioning. And there are a lot of, learning objective action verbs that apply to Bloom's taxonomy. Same with different types of questioning techniques that you've probably seen tied to Bloom's taxonomy. In 2001, a couple researchers redid Bloom's taxonomy. They did a revised version thinking about the digital world that we're in now. And so you'll see some subtle shifts. They changed the levels to be about verbs, which I appreciate, so they're action-oriented. So again, the lowest kind of cognitive level is when you need to remember something. And then what does understanding mean? And then this idea of analyzing, so both pulling things apart, putting things back together, evaluating again, getting at that more open-ended type of questioning. And then what I really appreciate as an educator is they put as the pinnacle here the ability to create and the desire to create, because there are so many ways nowadays, especially with the digital world, to get at self-expression and creative expression, and really get your thoughts out there and show your opinions and perspectives in so many different ways. So when we think about play, there are ways to subtly weave these in to make the activities super meaningful. And then I'm sure most of you are familiar with P21s. They have a great website as well, and they actually have a great video. It was a little too long, I thought, to share here, around the 4 C's. So when we think about 21st century learning and teaching, really the goals today aren't as solely focused on like the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s as they are about those skills around communication and collaboration, and then critical thinking and creativity. Sometimes people add a 5th C there around community or character or citizenship. But these 4 C's to me really are universal and cross-curricular, and really help us think and create meaningful learning activities. So again, when we think about play for the summer, when we think about activities for the summer, how do we make sure that we weave in communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creative opportunities as well? Any questions about the 4 C's? Any fans out there of the 4 C's? And then we, at Wonder Workshop, when we were putting together one of our kind of marketing materials for ISTE last year, the conference, we started thinking about like, okay, we talk a lot about robotics and coding, but again, how does it tie to the 4 C's? So we looked at the 4 C's here, and we actually added one around character, because we know that those SEL, social emotional learning goals, are also equally as important. So, how do we get at things around creativity from storytelling with the robots? How do we bring communication and collaboration through our efforts like the Wonder League Robotics competition? How do we get at critical thinking through our coding apps? And then how do we get at character? We see that a lot of character with our, if you haven't heard about our Wonder League Robotics competition, this year we had 7,100 teams from 63 countries who participated in our story-based missions. They're all free. You sign up to download them online. And what really resonated with me is we had one video, and one little boy on the video was saying, now this is my 127th time, and I think this program's gonna work. And if that's not grit or growth mindset, you know, an example of, I don't know what is. So this is just how we kind of look at how we can address various skills through what we do at Wonder Workshop. And then when we talk about STEAM or STEM, you know, we're really trying to push the arts into this whole trend around STEM in schools or summer camps. You know, how do we make sure that creative piece is front and center? Everything from creative expression to dramatic expression is really important. A lot of you probably know we just released a sketch kit accessory for both Dash and Q. So it's a harness that snaps on the robot, and you can use whiteboard markers now to create letters and shapes and messages and abstract designs with the robots. So again, making sure kids have this opportunity to express themselves in all different ways. We like to say, you know, we're bringing code to canvas now.
So how might we make summer activities new? Like, what do you guys think? Do summer activities, how can we make summer activities new, novel for kids to enjoy? How do we make them team or group oriented, a collaborative effort so that we can all have fun together? And definitely experimental. We all want our children to have hands-on activities, explore, find new things, go on an unguided approach, and be social and interesting as well.
You know, this is the time of year when you can really think about how do we make them super high interest and give kids voice and choice and let them choose.
And that way, summer activities are both online and offline. Do you guys have any restrictions to screen time and any constraints? How do they help at home? Are they effective?
Yeah, we'd love to know, because schools deal with screen time in different ways. And then, of course, personally at home, I'm sure you guys with your kids have different guidelines around screen time. Or how do you balance? We'd love to hear from you what some of your best practices are. When we were at Common Sense too, we have, I think they still have it, there's a contract that you can do with kids that we made for both the classroom and for the home, you know, to kind of start that conversation early and make kids part of the buy-in process and empowering them to be thoughtful about this balanced approach. You know, what's one's media diet these days? Limited to 1 hour a day, Lauren's saying. Lorena, I like that, instead of doing a New Year's resolution, yeah.
That's true. We need to be mindful of these activities. We need them to have a proper balance in our lives. Can't let electronics take over, can we?
No, they're here to stay, but
they're here to stay, and we can definitely learn a lot while we're using them.
Yeah, when I was at Common Sense, we'd often talk about, you know, it's not just the quantity, it's the quality that matters. So whether it's 1 hour, 3 hours, whatever your guidelines personally may be, you know, making sure that that time is well spent with well vetted and quality resources.
As a kid too, I started off with maths activities earlier, like basic games with maths questions. And I think I got an edge later on in high school and even in college due to them. So it's always helpful.
Yep, all about that balance. So when we think about different ideas, you know, this was something we were just kind of throwing up some ideas, and I'd love you guys to add in the chat too. When we talk about offline, let's start there. You know, what are some offline activities you can do, or where can you find quality offline activities throughout the summer? We know that there are a plethora of camps out there. So some are national camps, some are more kind of mom and pop neighborhood camps. Community centers often offer a lot of programs, whether they're a one-time offering or a weekly offering or throughout the summer. Public libraries are a wealth of programs, again, geared towards groups of kids or even individual kids. There are the good old playgrounds that more kids show up at during the summer. So again, opportunities to meet new friends. And then I started listing some of the ones we know, like Good Old Highlights magazines have different types of play activities, whether it's reading for enjoyment or some of their DIY craft ideas. Help Gidget, Computer Science Unplugged, Make Do, Tinker Crate. I don't know if any of you subscribe to Tinker Crate. We have no holding in that company, but really they have great activities that families can do together to get their hands busy in a physical way. Online, Wonderopolis, that is a good one. I should put that, I'll put Wonderopolis on this, thank you. PBS Kids, STEM Collaborative, Science Kids. There are a lot of websites, STEMworks, Discovery Education. They have resources for teachers, they have resources for parents, and they have resources direct to kids. And again, not all of these are necessarily online. You don't have to spend a lot of time online. There are things that you can download and print out. Code.org has a lot of great activities, again, both plugged and unplugged versions. BrainPop, one of my favorite companies, has a lot of videos that you can watch, but then again, they have a lot of quizzes, and then they have some new coding initiatives. Can't believe I forgot Khan Academy. Thank you for putting that one up there. National Geographic has a lot for kids and then the family as a whole. Same with NASA is a really rich site when it comes to STEM kind of activities and resources and ideas. And then EdWeb's going to throw up Common Sense, and I know I don't keep meaning to rely on them, but they, of course, have all their reviews of books and videos and online tools, and especially for educators, if you haven't seen the EdTech ratings and reviews, there's so many great creation tools. So I even remember when I used to teach third grade, letting kids on PowerPoint. The things one child came in one day and had 52 slides on candy, and she had spent all night creating it, but it was just amazing to see what she put together and the storytelling tools that are out there, from both a storyboarding kind of format to comic makers, to ones where you can add video or just even do voiceover, like voice threads. There's just a lot of interactive whiteboard tools out there that kids can have a really fun time with, both individually and then collaboratively too. So feel free to keep adding. I know a lot of you are putting different ideas in the chat, and I really appreciate it, because we as teachers tend to find the ones that we love.
I'll be reading the entire chat again afterwards, so adding stuff would be great.
Yeah, we definitely take these chats and go through them with a fine-tooth comb after them. We love seeing the comments and the questions and the ideas. And you guys are a wealth of resources. So again, just kind of to think about, when you think about your, media diet is a good way to think about it. And if we think about maybe your play diet here, what are your proportions of play? What are the types of play that you want to focus on this summer? And maybe a piece of that is digital or online. Maybe some is completely open-ended with no structure at all. But what are those how would you visualize if you had to organize the different activities you want to do this summer? And it's kind of a fun exercise to do for yourself and then do with your kids, whether they be, in your classroom or at your camp or your own personal kids. Think about if you ask them to divvy up, 360, how would they create a pie chart of the types of activities they want to engage in? Some of you guys earlier on were saying you're going to spend part of the summer traveling, part of the summer moving, part of the summer doing, some professional development. Again, it's just kind of a fun exercise to think, if I had 100% of my time, how would I split it up? And then similarly for my kids, whether again at my camp or my summer program, or my own personal kids, how would I ideally split up the time? Could definitely be a Venn diagram, you're right.
Now, this is one of my favorite illustrations, because during summertime, you ask a kid what he's up to, and most of his replies are nothing. What else are you planning to do today besides nothing? is what I'd said earlier as well. Summer times of time when you co-play, engage together, have quality family time, and there's a lot of learning involved with it.
Yeah, so think about too, what are those opportunities for you guys as a family to do things? Or what are those resources that you can send home with your kids that are in your summer programs and summer camps to encourage quality family time? Because it doesn't all have to be about adults and kids separately. In the media world, we'd always talk about co-engagement, co-viewing, co-play, co-learning. So what are those opportunities where things are meaningful to both adults and kids and enjoyable to both adults and kids? Sometimes they take a little more thought and a little more planning, but we also know that families are really appreciative because they want to spend that quality time together, and they're often looking for those nuggets of ideas that they can use and spring from. All right, I love that. Public parks, hiking, museums. Yeah, museums have great summer offerings too.
I disconnected the Xbox for the summer.
Yeah. No Xbox. Tell us how that goes. Okay, so what we wanted to share with you today was the program that we're doing called Summer of Wonder. And this is a free program that we're offering to parents and educators. And literally all you have to do is share your email to sign up online. So I wanted to walk you through what we're doing and get your sense of if you think it's helpful, what else would be helpful going forward, because we're going to be doing this program over the next 12 weeks. And then we'll also be able to answer some of your questions. So Summer of Wonder, what we're trying for the first time is over the 12 weeks of summer, we're going to be sharing every 2 weeks, so on a bi-weekly basis, 6 downloadable packets of activities. So we have, as many of you might know, for Dash and Dot and Q Robots, we have in-app content. So when you download the free apps, you can go through challenges, but those tend to be on kind of a one-to-one basis, or in classrooms, sometimes kids will pair up and try to solve them together. We also have our curriculum, our K-5 Learn to Code curriculum that a lot of teachers are using in their classroom. In August, we're releasing finally our 6 to 8 Applied Robotics curriculum. A lot of you have been asking since the Q Robot came out. So middle school curriculum is coming. Get ready for that announcement. But we wanted to come up with something kind of more lighthearted and fun and more bite-sized for summertime that, again, you could use in summer programs or camps, and then also as parents yourselves. So we'll have these 6 downloadable packets. They're geared towards family fun. They are for ages 5 and up because they include activities for both Dash Robot and then our Q Robot. And then in each packet, half the activities are for Dash and Q, and then half the activities are offline activities. So no robots are needed. So if you don't have our robots yet, hopefully, you can still use these packets because there are some printable puzzles. We have a recommended reading list that we're building out. So there's a lot in there for you to kind of explore. Oh, Jan, you've already downloaded it. Yay, thank you. We released our first packet last week, and all you have to do to receive it is go to makewonder.com/summer, and then you can just share your email, and then that will give you access to a website we've created where every 2 weeks we will add a new packet. So to give you a sample, this is kind of what packet number 1 looks like. And like I said before, it's a free packet. You can download it as many times as you want. You can photocopy it and give it to kids. You can send the makewonder.com/summer link to parents and say to parents, hey, here's something you can do with your kids over the summertime. Again, we are sharing a challenge card, which normally you have to pay for Dash. So we have these story-based challenge cards, which are really popular. Where kids they're self-directed for kids. On the back, there are a bunch of steps where kids are learning the fundamentals of coding. So when we talk about sequences, events, loops, conditionals, functions, variables. For the older kids, we suggest they create their own challenge cards. So again, that higher order thinking we were talking about with Bloom's. A lot of the activities have to do with our accessories. So in packet number 1, they're learning to play a song with a xylophone. Or for older kids, they're learning to create an instrument to play the song, or they can sing along with the robot using the recording feature. And then again, there are offline activities as well. So printable puzzles and reading list recommendations. So we released packet number 1 already, but again, if you sign up, you can go ahead and download it. Packet number 2 is coming this Monday. So again, another packet full of half of the activities have to do with our robots. So there is some screen time involved, and then half have nothing to do. You don't actually have to have a physical robot, and you don't have to have a screen because they're just good old puzzles and reading. We are recommending, we are putting together quite a comprehensive list, I'd like to think, of picture books. We've already released that. We're adding for this coming week a whole slew of chapter books, so for middle school, young adult readers. And then we'll also be adding a whole bunch of STEM-related books for you as parents and you as educators. And we would love to hear from you guys too. So when you do sign up, you'll get access to this STEM reading list, and feel free to add comments in the section in the bottom of the article, because we can add your ideas at any time. Oh, good, Ria, glad you just signed up. We can add books because we would love to just have it as kind of like a go-to list for all things STEM or STEAM related. And then we're also sharing different blog articles. I have one coming up this week. What can you do with a cardboard box? I'm a little biased, that's my nephew in the picture, but you guys as parents know it's often not what's in the box, it's the box itself that is the most inspiring. And in this day and age of maker spaces and tinkering and iterating and prototyping with low-res materials and that mindset of failing fast and failing forward, there's a lot you can do with boxes over the summer. And then we're also sharing videos, because some of our favorites that we find that, again, are great for co-viewing with your families, or you can show in class and in your programs, short videos. So many of you might know the one about Kane's Arcade. This child, I believe he was in Florida, who created the most ornate arcade, old school arcade in his family's garage out of cardboard boxes. And it's just, you can Google it, but we'll also be putting it in one of the packets. So some fun resources there for you guys to peruse. And then if you sign up, we have some exclusive special summer savings for both Dash and Q with our new sketch kit. So this is a picture. We were just in a school recently doing a photo shoot, and the kids were just loving the sketch kit. So the harness fits on the bottom of the robot, and you snap in one of 6 whiteboard markers. And then we have, we sell the whiteboard mat. It's quite large that kids can then create, again, letters, shapes, write secret messages. I was at the Bet Fair in London in January, and we were demonstrating this, and a 13-year-old walked up, and he did a quick program and walked away, and I looked down, and he had done a simple square with the robot, but then he had looped it so that it turned by 10 degrees. So within about 30 seconds, there was this really cool kaleidoscope design going on that he had done with a pretty simple program. So again, just that creative expression. So we have exclusive summer savings for those of you that sign up through this program, again, for Dash Robot, Q Robot, the sketch kit, and then all of Dash's accessories. So if you've ever wanted a launcher or a xylophone or the challenge cards, right now it's 20% off all accessories. So again, sign up and you'll find those exclusives, savings. And then we want to hear from you. So you guys, educators, share all the time on Twitter, and it is the most inspiring kind of storehouse of ideas. I always want to say, I'll say when we were just at a training yesterday, teachers would say, well, how's it, I want to see what it looks like in the classrooms, or how is it used with kids? And I'll say, just go on Twitter, because educators are sharing daily what they do. And there's such creative ideas. And then we also want to see what's happening during the summer. So we have a new hashtag we'd love you guys to use this summer, Fun with Wonder. And that way we can follow along and see, what are you doing with the summer programs? What are you doing when maybe you're loosening the reins a little bit on coding and robotics, or storytelling with the robots? Or again, what are you doing with the packets? How are the puzzles, the offline activities going over with your kids? So we would love to see what you're doing, and you can share that at hashtag Fun with Wonder. But do follow us at Wonder Workshop. So question and answer time. We're gonna, again, you can post questions up above in the little bubble there. So we have a question from Joe Lynn saying, any suggestions for middle schoolers? Great question. So in the packets themselves, half the activities are dedicated to Dash, which is the robot that's primarily used with elementary age kids, so kind of K to 5. Q is our latest and greatest robot. So Q we introduced, I think it was last November, to our consumer audience. And it is geared and designed for middle schoolers. So this summer in August, we are releasing actually our Q for Education app. So the app has been redesigned. It's our first app that's been really designed with educators in mind. So there'll be some educator tools that make it easier for you to create COPPA compliant accounts for kids, sharing information. We also have, like I mentioned, the 6 to 8 applied robotics curriculum. Unit 1 is coming out, all about creative writing in August. So the lesson plans will be online for free. And then we have these really cool student notebooks that are all around design thinking principles. And all the activities are kind of a project-based approach with middle schoolers in mind, knowing that that collaborative voice and choice is really important to middle school. And then, so we'll be having also putting up in August some new Q, it's like a tongue twister, Q bundles. So like we've done with Dash and Dot for schools, we will be bundling the robots, some of the sketch kit accessory, the curriculum, all together so that you get even more savings. And in some of those bundles is our new program called Teach Wonder. And if you haven't checked it out, do go to, I'm gonna put it in the chat here, do go to teachwonder.com, www.teachwonder.com. This is our new professional development program that we launched in March. So our first 12-hour course for teachers is available. And what we did was a 12-hour course that really takes a step back from, we didn't want to do product training around how to use our robots. We wanted to go, a 50,000-foot view. So we really look at the bigger question about why do we need coding and robotics in schools nowadays? Like, why is this digital how's the landscape changing? How do I need to change my instructional tactics? And then in module 6, so there are 6 2-hour modules. The last module, we do get into specific around the robots. But before that, we're looking at room design, and we're looking at instructional design, and we're looking at pedagogy. You might know Piaget, but do you know Papert and Resnick? So really helping kind of take your classroom, if it isn't already, more into the 21st century kind of realm, because we know teachers are inundated with so much to do. And so often with these new asks, especially around coding and robotics, we want it to be part of the everyday classroom, not just supplemental or in the tech space or the media lab. So how, again, do we tie it into what you're already doing, tie it to cross-curricular standards and objectives? So that's the Teach Wonder program. The first course is all about Dash and Dot for elementary schools, but we will be adding a Q course for middle school teachers. We're launching it at ISTE. So in a couple weeks, maybe not even that long, in about a week's time, we will be seeing folks in Chicago, and that's where we'll be launching the middle school course.
Feel free to send in your questions by clicking the question mark above your screen. We'd be happy to answer them right now.
And we do have another question. Your definition of how many components, science, tech, engineering, math, need to be included for it to be considered STEM, all 4 areas? Good question, Lauren. I'm going to give you my personal take on this. I don't think you have to address all 4 at the same time. I think what the trend around STEM and STEAM is that there's a concerted effort to make sure that these disciplines and these subjects are addressed on kind of an equal footing. So, the pendulum in education tends to swing. And for a long time, it was all about language learning and, whether it was phonics or whole language, and it depended which approach you took. And there's a lot of research out there, and there were some studies that were published that kind of jump-started this idea around STEM, because when they looked at it, the states in particular, our students' performance scores were falling so far behind when it came to like mathematics and science in particular. And engineering and tech, of course, are part of those. So it's thinking about preparing our kids for the job markets of tomorrow. Like, what can we do today to prepare them for tomorrow's job market and the skills that they'll need? And they're just, when you Google STEM ideas, or if you look at kind of programs that address STEM and STEAM, what I like about it is they take kind of this interdisciplinary approach. So it's not that you have to give every single one of those components equal weight. It's more just of how do you take this cross-curricular approach. You know, when you're doing, I think a lot of fab labs, fabrication labs, and maker spaces do such a good job right now, because you could be using, you know, mathematical skills when you're creating a program for your 3D printer, which I know not all schools have, or maybe you're learning about sensors and you're doing it with arts in mind, and you're doing fabric, and, you know, kids are creating, I had a child once do a whole LED inspired tutu for her ballet performance. And so she was learning about circuits and LEDs and technology in general. But for her, it was all about her dance recital, which was more arts focused. So it's, again, that interdisciplinary and cross-curricular approach that I like with this whole kind of STEM and STEAM movement.
You have a
couple more questions. Thank you. Any suggestions for infants and toddlers? Ooh, good question. So infants and toddlers, to me, can be a hard one to crack, because, you know, there is all these recommendations about no screen time. But of course, we want to start building those critical thinking skills, and technology affords such ways to do it. We have a new accessory that's actually sold out for Dash, but we should be getting more in July, called Puzzlets. And it's this physical play tray with these icon-based tiles. And so it gets at manipulative skills where preschoolers can put tiles in a sequence. So again, they're starting to understand some of the basic coding concepts. And those tiles then, through Bluetooth, tell the robot what to do. So the kids start learning some of those basics of coding and robotics, all without a screen. It's all through these physical, tangible, tactile tiles.
Especially because there are no words and it's mostly icons. So kids who don't know how to read yet, especially infants and toddlers, they have a very fun time using it.
Mm-hmm. And for little kids, you know, that cause and effect, I see it with my nephew, especially with robotics. Coding can be kind of abstract when it's on a screen, and that's why I like robotics, whether it's Dash and Dot and Q or others, is that kids see that what they're doing on the screen, or like with Puzzlets, the play tray, has actual effects. And the kids start getting a better sense of agency, like, oh, I'm doing that. That's not what I wanted to happen, so I need to go back and debug and change my program to do X, Y, and Z. I also love the physicality. So we see kids in the classroom getting up and moving around and trying to figure out cardinality and directionality, like left, right. They'll do physical obstacle courses where, you know, the robots go through kids' legs, or, and again, they're building physical environments. So again, it takes into account different types of learning and different types of play.
Next question.
Do you have project-based learning activities? Yes. So 2 answers to that. Our middle school curriculum that's coming out in August, so 6 to 8 applied robotics curriculum, is all around project-based activities. In addition to that, our K to 5 curriculum has a lot of project-based activity ideas that are in the teacher's guide. And then if you haven't heard before, I'll give you the link. But we have a Wonder League robotics competition. So every year for free, we post story-based missions over a 6-month window that you as an adult can download and then work with teams of kids on. And these collaborative, creative, problem-solving missions are really project-based. And so this year, we just wrapped up our 3rd year of doing this ever. And like I said, we had 7,100 teams participate from 63 countries. It's all virtual, so you can download the materials on your own time. You just need to do them within the set window and submit the evidence of learning, which is the code and student journals, or I should say team journals, and then some final presentations. But it's really rewarding to see how kids, the outcomes are so different. The solutions are so different because there's no one way, right way or wrong way to solve these missions. And they're all project-based. Yeah, 7,100 teams. It was crazy. It's our biggest year ever. Last year, year two, we had 5,300 teams. And in the 6 to 8 age category, a duo from India won. And then for the 9 to 12 category, one of my favorite stories, the Pink Eagles won. It was an all-girls team from Michigan, Heartland, Michigan. And they created their own team because one of the girls' brothers wouldn't let her on his team. So she created her own, and then they won the whole thing. This year, we had a duo from Virginia win for ages 6 to 8, and then we had 4 boys, the Codecrackers from Massachusetts, win for 9 to 12. Next year, you can sign up now if you go to makewonder.com/robotics-competition. It's all, you'll find it on our site easily. You can sign up just for more information, and we'll keep you in the loop. We are adding a 3rd age category for middle schoolers. So we're going to now have 3 age categories: teams 6 to 8, 9 to 12, and then an older crowd. We haven't decided the exact age yet. And I should mention the top teams, one team from each age category wins a $5,000 STEM grant grand prize, plus robots and t-shirts, which are always a nice bonus. Let's see, other questions.
How does STEM work for infants and toddlers? I feel especially with the product like Puzzlets or STEM in particular, they don't have to directly go through in that range, but when they're playing or doing something related to it, they're actually introducing themselves to a very broad range of criteria and having a specialized mindset to them, which is indirectly leading them to STEM.
Yep. I'm adding a link here. And then I think our last question, unless somebody asks.
How do we get access to your robots, as mentioned earlier? Feel free to go on the Make Wonder website. We'll just be posting a link about that. That would be set. So you can go to store.makewonder.com and order the robots, have a read through them.
And again, we often have specials, so you'll see them on our site. But if you sign up for the Summer of Wonder program, that's where we have those even greater deals right now. So it's makewonder.com/summer. Just sign up with your email, and then you will get access to the website where you'll see the special promotion codes for the robots and the sketch kit and all of Dash's accessories. And you'll also get access to the packets. So again, we're adding a new packet of activities every other week. One is already up there. Another one's coming Monday. You haven't missed anything. You can still go back and download the one from last week. And you can use it however you want throughout this summer and hopefully going forward. We're almost out of time. So any last questions? Thank you guys for attending today. And I wish you, those of you that are done with your school year, congratulations. Those of you that are almost done, countdown's on. Well-deserved summer. I hope you guys all get some rest and relaxation and fun as well. Nana, thank you for being a fabulous co-host. We're losing our intern in a week.
Feel free to email me if you guys have any questions. I'd be happy to help you guys. If you want to know anything about any specific accessories or something in detail.
Yeah, Namit's got awesome demos he can share with you. Let's see, I'm just looking at a couple more questions. If you've never used Dash and Q, is there a better starting point? I actually think for Dash, the challenge cards are amazing. They're student directed, they're scaffolded, so they're sequenced from easy to hard. It's something you can do with your kids. Kids can do it in pairs, they can do it independently. There are 30 free lesson plans that go with the challenge cards, so you can use them as independent practice. You can use them in a rotation station. You can do a sticker chart on your wall and have kids track which ones they've done, kind of like SRA reading. It's a really easy entry point, and it's also what I like to call parallel learning. You can look over your kids' shoulders and be like, oh, what are you doing? Tell me more. The Wonder League Robotics competition is another one, because we give such comprehensive missions with instructions and kind of goals and points that you can award, that again, the kids dive in and figure it out all on their own. You really are just, I shouldn't say just, you're their cheerleader, which is not an easy job, but it's not like you have to teach the skills. It's all about that problem solving for kids. So often will, in the final presentations, you know, the original attachments they're building, we'll see 5 variations of it, and kids will come back and on their websites or in the videos, they're talking about how they got inspiration from their toothbrush or the lobster trap that they saw in their neighbor's yard. And they took these real world ideas and applied them to the challenges. And that's what we love seeing, is that real world application and kind of that real world problem solving.
Also, you'd be surprised to see how quickly kids pick up. They just open the application and start using it really well and get a hang of it. Yeah, and then there's nothing stopping them.
Yep. The apps themselves, including Q, so those of you that are new to Q, they have in-app challenges and demos that are sequenced to kind of take you on the journey with it. So you're not just like dumped straight in. You can jump right in. But you know, the challenges are meant to kind of guide that experience and make the onboarding easier. But as Namit said, it's really, the robots literally and figuratively roll out of the box ready to go. So we have 3 minutes left. Happy to answer any other questions, even if they're a little more individual. Thank you guys again for joining. I see a lot of people signing off. So again, happy summer. Kirsten, how do you get this certificate? You will get a link if you signed up, if you registered for the email if you registered for the webinar with your email, you will get a follow-up email from EdWeb. If you didn't, you can always access in the code community the quiz. And don't forget, we have a bunch of other archived webinars that you can go back and watch if you're looking for some more information about Dash and Dot, from the curriculum to the accessories to setting up your classroom for next year. There's a lot of good presentations, and we often have very gifted co-hosts, teachers that join us and share their real classroom experiences. STEM book recommendations for teaching, to use for teaching. Lauren, so in the Summer of Wonder program, do sign up for that because you get access to an article. Right now, the article has picture books, and we're adding chapter books this week, but we will be adding, we have a whole curated list of books all around STEM and teaching coding and just kind of STEM in general for both parents and educators. So ones that you can share with your parent community and you can share with your professional learning networks. And we'd love to have your recommendations as well. It's both. Sorry, she was asking in the chat, is it books to read to her kids or for herself? It's both. So we're just making a super long laundry list, and they're categorized by picture books are first. We're adding now chapter books, and then we'll have books for adults and educators. So the first 2 are ones that you could read to your kids, have kids read to each other, read independently, and then we're adding a bunch of adult books that you can use for training purposes or just for your own interests.
Thanks, Anna. Have a great summer too.
Yeah, there are, a good point, Nancy. There are a lot of great blogs out there too to follow. That would be a good blog article, a blog about other blogs. I'm going to make a note of that and share that. It's always easier just to have one list to go to. Happy summer to all of you, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar all about the best of show at ISTE. So join us soon. Thank you.